Hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I am Nick from Australia. I hope everyone's doing well on this Wednesday night, October 28, 2020. This is going to be a video of my thoughts on the Queensland Maroons Origin squad for 2020. They've named their 27-man squad a couple of days ago, and a bit like yesterday, I did my New South Wales one. I'm going to give my thoughts on the Queensland 27-man squad and how I think they have done, and a couple of negatives and a couple of positives to a couple of players that should be there and maybe shouldn't be there. And I'll also go through my 1 to 17 if I was the head coach of the Queensland Maroons side, the team that I would select if I was in charge. So without further ado, if you haven't seen the squad, we'll go through it real quick. So let's get into it. So the Queensland Maroons squad, the 27-man squad for the 2020 Origin Series for the Queensland Maroons. So let's go for the squad. Well, they have got Xavier Coates, Patrick Carrigan, Valentine Holmes, Cohen Hess, Ben Hunt, Josh Kerr, Edric Lee, Hymel Hunt and Jaden Sewer, Corey Allen, Dane Gagai, Dunamis Lui, Josh Papali, Jake Friend, Lindsay Collins, Daly Cherry Evans, Harry Grant, Jai Arrow, and AJ Brimson, Moe Fodawaker, Philip Semi, Kurt Capewell, Tino Fasalamalawi, Brenko Lee, Cameron Munster, Christian Welsh, and Felice Kafusi. Now, obviously, Queensland have got a couple out, so Val Holmes is not allowed to play Game 1. He is suspended for a shoulder charge on the Broncos in the very last round of the season. So Val Holmes won't be there till Game 2. There's no Kyle Felt. He's not able to play due to injury. Dylan Napa is injured, so he's not going to be playing. Kalen Ponga is out. So Queensland are already under the pump, and they're probably a little bit short in the outside backs, to be honest with you, this year. Looking in the centres and wingers, they are very inexperienced there. The back five is probably Queensland's biggest concern. They've got a pretty good headache in the hooker position between Jake Friend, Harry Grant, and Ben Hunt. So they've got some headaches there, and the forward pack for Queensland is looking pretty solid. So I don't think Queensland will have a problem in the forwards. I think their issue is probably their outside backs. But overall, if I was giving a rating out of 10, with 10 being the best of that Queensland Maroons Origin squad, I'd probably give it a solid 7 out of 10. I think it's a good young Origin squad that can do some good things. I don't see Queensland winning the series, not being biased or anything, but I can't see Queensland winning the series. I wouldn't be surprised if I did, but I won't be tipping Queensland to win the series. But I think they'll definitely push New South Wales. I don't see many games being a blown out. I think they will definitely push the Blues. But let's go through my Queensland Origin team if I was the head coach of the team. So this is the 1 to 17 Queensland side that I would pick if I was the head coach. So at fullback, I've gone with AJ Brimson. On the wings, I've got Hymel Hunt and Edric Lee. In the centres, I've gone with Brenko Lee and Dane Gagai. In the halves, I've got Cameron Munster, and the halfback, the captain, Daly Cherry Evans. The front row of Josh Papali and Christian Welsh. The hooker is Harry Grant. The second row of Felice Kafusi and Tino Fusula Malalawi, however the fuck you say it. The lock, Patrick Carrigan, might be a bit of a surprise. And on the bench, I've gone with Jake Friend, Lindsay Collins, Jai Arrow, and Jaden Sewer. Now, I'll talk through the backline real quick. So, obviously, with Kalen Ponga being out injured and no Michael Morgan available, and Val Holmes out for Game 1. So, I think AJ Brimson is going to be the fullback, and I think he deserves it. He had a really good last 6 weeks of the NRL season, so I think Brimson will definitely start fullback and well-deserved. Wingers, I think Hymel Hunt and Edric Lee from Newcastle, I think they'll do a great job. I think Hymel Hunt had a really underrated season for the Knights, played on the wing. Used to be more of a centre, Hymel Hunt, so I think if he plays wing, I think he'll do a great job for Queensland. And big Edric Lee, I think he'll play on the left side, probably with Dane Gagai. So I think big Edric Lee can do well as long as he gets his handling skills right, if he doesn't drop the ball and stuff. So I think Edric Lee will also be a good fit on the wing. Centres, Brenko Lee and Dane Gagai. Brenko Lee's had a breakout year for Melbourne. It's a good story about Brenko Lee if you haven't seen it already. He was going to quit rugby league in general and go do something else. And he obviously went to the Melbourne Storm and got a really good lifeline with Melbourne there. And he's been playing good this year, Brenko Lee, so I think he'll be playing right centre. And the other centre is the experienced Dane Gagai. He always plays well in Origin, always delivers when Origin's on. So I have no concern about Dane Gagai. He'll do a great job wherever he plays. Halves, Munster, Cherry Evans. It's an absolute no-brainer. Cameron Munster will be playing 5'8", one of the best players in the game, Cameron Munster. And the experienced halfback and Daly Cherry Evans, he'll do a great job, lead by example. The front row, I've gone with Papali and Christian Welsh. I think Josh Papali is a no-brainer. He picks himself pretty much. He's one of the first picks for the Maroons. And I think Christian Welsh, a breakout year for the Melbourne Storm, probably a top 5, top 7 prop in the game. So I think Christian Welsh will start front row, and I think he deserves to. Hooker, now this is the one where you have a headache. You got Harry Grant, Jake Friend, Ben Hunt. It's a big headache, but I think whether you start Harry Grant or you start Jake Friend, I don't think it matters. I think Harry Grant probably deserves to get a good crack at it. I wouldn't be surprised if to be fair, Jake Friend probably deserves to start, but I'd go with Harry Grant because I think you need that early energy, and I think Harry Grant will deliver that. So I think he should start at dummy half for Queensland, and you can bring Jake Friend on later on when he gets a bit tired. And then back row, Felice Kafusi and Tino Fasalamaui. I think Felice Kafusi on that right side's a no-brainer. He'll definitely be playing right edge back row. I think he'll do a great job. Very experienced, and he's a very hard hitter. Big Felice Kafusi, he'll do a great job. And Tino Fasalamaui, I can't even fucking pronounce it, but Big Tino, he'll play on the left side with Cameron Munster, Gagai, and probably Edric Lee. I think that'd be a very dangerous left edge for the Maroons. I think Big Tino will do a great job if he starts back row. And that lock, I've gone with a bit of a wild card here. And Patrick Carrigan from the Brisbane Broncos, I think he's a sort of player who's a bit similar to Victor Radley. He's very... they both hit hard. They both are very good players. They're just similar in my opinion. They're very similar players. I think Patrick Carrigan will do a great job if he gets a start. I think you need that sort of wild card X factor. And if New South Wales go with Isaiah Yeo at lock, then I think Queensland should go with Paddy Carrigan at lock. So we've got two young locks going up against each other there. So I think Paddy Carrigan he's a leader of the future for the Broncos, and I think he should start at lock, and I think he'll do a great job there. Now on to the bench, I've got Jake Friend as that jersey 14. I think he'll come on after about 30 minutes for Harry Grant and play probably 30 minutes, and then Harry Grant come back on the last 20 or so. I think they'll rotate at dummy half position, and I think they might do that very well. But Jake Friend can even go out and play a bit of lock if he has to. He can tackle around. He'll do a great job, Jake Friend, if he gets picked. Lindsay Collins on the bench. I mean, a lot of people would start Lindsay Collins, but I think at the Roosters, he's so used to coming off the bench. It's a big ask for him to come off the bench for the Roosters the whole season and then just going straight into a starting Queensland side. I think that could be a bit of a tough ask for Lindsay Collins. I think he'll be very explosive off the bench, and I think he'll do a great job. And Jai Arrow. A lot of people are starting Jai Arrow at lock, which wouldn't surprise me if he does start at lock for Queensland, but I think if he comes off the bench and plays a bit of front row, I think it's very important to have a good bench in State of Origin. So I think Jai Arrow would be a good guy to come off the bench and play a bit of front row with Lindsay Collins. I think they would do a fantastic job for the Maroons. And the other one I've gone with is Jaden Sewer. I think he'll come on for Big Tino when he gets a little bit tired, and Jaden Sewer will be doing some really good shots, maybe a couple of big hits. He's not afraid to push the boundaries. Jaden Sewer, he'll probably shoulder charge someone. He loves doing it, so I think he'll definitely suit State of Origin. And obviously the coach will be Wayne Bennett. Now, the two players, the 18th man and the 19th man, just in case of injury, I've gone with Ben Hunt as 18th man, just in case of emergency reasons. And the other one I've gone with for 18th man is, what's his name? Kurt Capewell from the Penrith Panthers. I think he would be a really good sort of player. He can play anywhere. You can play him in the centres, you can play him at back row, you can play him at lock, you can play him at hooker, you can play him at wing, you can play him anywhere. Kurt Capewell He's a very perfect utility sort of player. If you go back a couple of years ago, Jack Bird for New South Wales was that great player who could just play anywhere on the field. And I think Kurt Capewell is very similar. So I think Kurt Capewell and Ben Hunt will be the 18th and 19th man in case of injury or something that happens in the warm-up. I don't know, but I think that is a pretty good Queensland side that I have created, and I think that would be good. Now, the Queensland players that shouldn't be there, I've selected 3 players in the Queensland squad that shouldn't be there, and I've come up with 3 players that should be there in my opinion, which I'm still surprised about, honestly, especially one of these blokes. Now, I might cop a little bit of hate because I'm a little bit biased here. People will say I'm biased, but I'm not. I genuinely think this is what should happen, but it's not going to happen, unfortunately. So, the first player that I would kick out of the Queensland squad is Coen Hess from the Cowboys. Mate, how the fuck did he make the squad? Coen Hess has done nothing for about 2.5 years. He's been absolutely useless, playing back row for the Cowboys, done absolute fuck all. I don't even know how he made the squad. Who should replace him? Well, Josh McGuire should fucking replace him. Josh McGuire's one of the most experienced Queensland players going around, and he's not even in the squad. Are you serious? Josh McGuire should have been in this team, honestly. I would have had him starting lock or at front row, but for some reason they haven't picked Josh McGuire. They are trying to say that McGuire hasn't had a good season. Not many people did it, the Cowboys, to be honest. So the fact that they've gone with Coen Hess over Josh McGuire makes me physically sick, and I think that's a really poor decision from the Maroons. Hess over McGuire, you fucking idiots. That's a terrible decision. Now, the other one is a little bit controversial. Now, Dunamis Lui, I don't know if he should be there. I know he's had a decent season at Canberra. He's had his moments. He's won me some money this year. He's had a decent year. But, you know, I'm not being biased, but what about Frankie Molo from the Cowboys? I had a look at some of the players that were eligible, and Frankie Molo's been one of the best Cowboys forwards all year, and he's a genuine front row. And I don't know about Dunamis Lui in the squad. I think Frankie Molo's probably had a better year than Dunamis Lui in certain periods, but I don't know, man. Dunamis Lui, don't go much on him. Decent player, but I think Frankie Molo probably deserved to be in the squad. And the other one, well, this is a very, very controversial one to some people, but honestly, I think you need experience. Now, I don't know about Phillip Sami, man. I mean, he's a good kid. He'll definitely play Origin in the future, but I don't know if he should be in the squad, man. I'm going to cop it for this one as well, but what happened to Justin O'Neill? Justin O'Neill's had a really good year for the Cowboys. I thought he was probably one of our best outside backs all year. He brings a lot of experience. If you go back to this year, Justin O'Neill was probably one of our best outside backs all year. And Phillip Sami, I mean, outside of speed, I don't really know what else Phillip Sami offers. You know, all he's got is fast pace. Outside of that, his defense is very ordinary. And, you know, if you look at someone like Justin O'Neill, he's a great defensive centre. He knows how to attack very well. He's got experience. He's been there and done it before. I just think Queensland needs a lot of experience, and they've gone with a lot of youth, which could be their Achilles heel. But overall, I'd be kicking out Hess, Lui, and Sami, and I'd be putting in McGuire, Molo, and O'Neill. Not being biased, but I think that's what I would have gone with anyway. But anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap up this video. That's my Queensland Origin team that I come up with, and they're my thoughts on Queensland. I think they've got a fairly decent squad, and I think they'll definitely push New South Wales in this series. I think New South Wales will win the series, but not because I'm a New South Welshman and I'm biased, but I think New South Wales have the better team, and I think Queensland will definitely push New South Wales. They're not going to flog Queensland 3-0 or anything, I don't think anyway, but always have hope. But we'll see how they go. But anyway, guys, that's going to wrap up this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you guys go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Appreciate the support, guys. Getting very close to 850 subscribers. Not far off 900 either, but hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, guys. And I will see you guys tomorrow night for the Corner Post. Until then, have a fantastic Wednesday night. Have a great Thursday. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Go the Blues.